Welcome back to Sanity Lounge. This week we have Matt Muirhead, an incredible artist with a passion for the quirky and the unique. In this episode, we dive into his creative world, chatting about his art, inspirations, and even some of his favorite movies. Matt didn't just bring his stories, he brought the goods. We got to see some of his amazing art up close, plus a homemade kalimba and a crankie. So you'll need to watch the episode to get the full appreciation. After our conversation, Matt gave us an exclusive demonstration of his kalimba and crankie that you won't want to miss. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we explore the colorful mind of Matt Muirhead. Welcome, Baltimore. We have a new episode today. We're welcoming Matt Muirhead in. He is an artist, a local. Does some really, really cool shit that we're going to get into and show you. He has a homemade instrument with him also. I have somewhat history with you, although this technically is the first time we've ever actually met.
Okay.
So the first time I saw your art was a friend of mine, Brittany Herbinko.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, she's awesome.
Yeah, she did that event, Save the Auto Bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you had art there auctioned off that you had donated. So that Poe bust, the little Poe bust I showed you,
yeah,
I donated one of those, and she painted it punk and like put a nose ring on it, and that somebody bought it. Yeah. And I think it travels around like a school in Pennsylvania or something.
That's sweet.
Then, fast forward a couple years later, we went and saw Whiskey Feathers at, I guess, which may now have been the last Hun Fest. Mm-hmm. And I stopped by your booth and talked to you briefly that day and was just looking at some stuff. And then you've just always been on my radar since we've started this. We have musicians, we have bands, but I wanted to incorporate artists. It's all art, whether it's music, painting, singing, any of it, sculpting. So you're the first artist that we've had, so like, welcome.
Sweet. Right, it's like technically we're putting the call out to artists everywhere, filmmakers, and he knows live music, we both know film, but what we don't know is an official artist or two, or we do, but like they're few and far between.
It's just something else we want to showcase. We've been showcasing comedians, bands, drummers. Now we're showcasing artists.
Yeah.
Right.
Visual art.
Yeah. And so it's a pleasure
that is what
to
I
meet
am.
you.
And
so
you got
that's
those
my
cameras.
similarity. I am not a musician. I am an artist.
Yeah.
A sculptor. But I love the art that you do.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. And what I was going to say is the very first time, he told me about you, I noticed there is a movie theme, not always, but sometimes in your art. And so I immediately am like, let's talk to that.
Yeah.
So I sent them 2 shots, and one of them had Bubo, and one of them had the sandworm.
Right, from Dune, man. Yeah, it was fucking incredible.
Mechanical Owl from Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Super sweet. Yeah. I love film, man. I love all art, really.
Yep.
So,
Music.
Matt,
film.
Where are you out of, like, originally? Where are you from? Are you Baltimore originally?
No, I'm English. Moved to the States with my family when I was about 11.
Wow.
And lived in the Detroit area. Then I lived in Chicago. I lived in Buffalo, New York for a little while.
Hold on real quick. So England, right?
Yeah.
England. Do you remember any of those years?
Yeah, I was 11 years old. Lived in the north of England.
Right.
And
what years are we talking here?
This would be, I was born in 73. I'm now 50. And
you look great, babe. I'm 48. He's 50.
I'm 49.
Yeah.
I'm not 50 yet. I'm almost.
It's great. Yeah,
I love it. I'm looking forward to it.
I feel like shit, but
nobody cares.
As long as you guys still know what I looked like
Matt.
10 years ago. Is the thing,
Right. I guess that's true. Right.
There could have been a really precipitous decline.
Right.
I went on a Boy Scout retreat retreat this past weekend, a camping trip, and played capture the flag with these 13 and 12 and
this is my favorite story of all time.
I had to put every ounce of energy I had in my body to outrun my son. In fact, I had to use bushes. I ran through bushes because I knew they'd whack him and slow him down. But I just today started being able to walk again.
Yeah. I know. I woke up this morning with a sore leg, and I don't even know why it hurts.
Right. You bent over yesterday.
Just my leg hurts now, it feels like, Yeah,
it's disheartening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just was curious about, I've never been overseas, and so, you were born there. It just seems like, it might be a fruitful endeavor. But did you were you an artist from birth, or when was your...
I don't know. I never knew really what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something for myself.
Right.
Like I remember a career day at school, like middle school, and I'm like, I want to be an entrepreneur,
Right.
And I sort of knew that meant sort of like self-starting, do your own thing, My teacher was like, well, you can't just be an entrepreneur. You have to do something, What do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know,
You're like entrepreneur,
whatever hits me in the moment. That's what I'm going to do, But we moved around so much that it was a very sort of lonely childhood for me. Mm-hmm. And so I think art was just, and I've always like mucked around with things, you know what I mean? But not necessarily painting, not necessarily art. Like I've always just messed around with little motors or little, what have you. So, and I still do. I still just, whatever I get my hands on, I'm not very good at anything, I don't think, what I mean?
Objection.
Like, I've created ways to like overcome my whatever learning disability I have that prevents me from really like studying a thing. You know what I mean? So like I've created processes by which I can like enact, like manifest my thoughts, my images and stuff like that. But I feel like I've never really learned anything, and I've just fucked up.
Yeah, but
just
that's why you're so genuine. That's why you're a genuine artist, baby.
I mean, I think there's something to it.
There is something to that, because the path that, true art, keep in mind, I don't know shit, right?
Yeah.
But in my head...
Yeah, but you like art.
But in my head...
Nobody objected to that. I don't know you well enough.
Look, trust me, I don't know shit. But I find that, like, the greatest art seems to be that kind of, like, meander into it, art. Not to say that there's nothing to classically trained and doing your homework and everything like that, or being a proper technician on a certain thing. But different, like, what sets you apart is that eccentricity, or something like that. And that is worth something as well.
Yeah. For me, it feels like a drive. Like, I didn't necessarily have a lot of friends. I mean, I had friends, you know what I mean? I wasn't, I'm not like a hermit or anything, but, I had friends, but, we moved a lot. I went to like at least 12 different houses, you know what I mean? I've lost count, but so I was forced to just be with myself and do things, and and also try to impress people, you know what I mean? Like and without I don't feel like a very impressive person, you know what I mean? So I like sort of externalize myself in these objects and say, here, like, let's, we can, here is a gambit or something, and we can talk about it, and then it's like a step up for me, for my personality or something.
It levels the playing field, as it were.
Yeah, because I feel like step down or whatever. You know what I mean? So
now I cut you off. You came to Detroit first, and then what was your Detroit evolution?
We lived in the Detroit area, and after a while we moved to Florida. And I lived in Coral Springs, Florida, near Fort Lauderdale. And then I lived in Toledo, Ohio, for a long time. Actually, that was like the majority of like my adolescence was probably in Toledo.
Well, you got military parents, or what?
I know.
I was just going to say, I'm assuming this is just work related. Where
it's
your parents
not.
just...
I mean, my dad was in a rock band in Manchester in the 60s. It was called the Teddy Bears, but it wasn't like the Teddy Bears.
Okay.
Like the band. It wasn't them.
Okay.
It was like a different...
Because Soft Machine is my favorite album of all time. Right? Teddy Bears.
Is that a Teddy Bears album?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's the
I
song
don't
that
even
has
know
like
that one.
Iggy Pop, punk rocker on it. Like it's the best album I've ever heard from start to finish.
But it's not. It's
But that's
not
not
the old
it.
man,
No.
right?
That wasn't in that band.
Yeah, they put out a few singles.
Right.
It was Manchester, but they did tour American Air Force bases.
Nice.
And so my dad really, liked Americans, conservative, liked Reagan, liked Thatcher,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, it took us like a number of years to like get all the paperwork together and apply and then we just came.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
were you just, as far as art goes, are you a poet also? Because I know some of your art has poetry in it.
Yeah. Oh, so I did a show at a library, the Parkville Kearney Library, and they gave me a wall space for a month, and I was like, cool. What am I gonna do? And so I was like, I'll just get my favorite poems.
Okay.
And put them up there, and that'll be like related to reading and books.
But
and
are they your poems or they're poems that you like from
Poems
other people that you?
My poems remain unpublished.
I got you. Okay. I figured.
I read them a few years later, and I'm like, whew, glad nobody saw that.
You're like, thank God I didn't roll the dice. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I asked because one of the paintings you had at Chris Schaefer's variety show was the Sylvia Plath.
Oh yeah, the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that poem is like really something.
So, okay, so, all right. So right now we're in Chicago, Coral.
Yeah.
You're in Ohio. You're rocking all around.
Yeah.
How do you end up
In Baltimore.
Oh, in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Long story short,
You don't have to make it short. You can go as long as you want.
I dated a Japanese woman when I was in Toledo because I did a little time. I did a little time.
I love that. I said, do tell.
I was hanging out with like a lot of the international students that go to the University of Toledo because I was like cool art guy, so I was invited to parties and stuff.
World traveler. What's the age now?
This was just after high school.
Gotcha.
Like in the couple of years after high school.
Gotcha.
Because I actually, my parents got divorced when we lived in Florida, and then I moved back and I finished out my high school in like rural Michigan.
Oh.
Like a tiny school, Deerfield High School.
Deerfield?
Deerfield School is like K through 12.
Wow.
This school, you know what I mean? Like,
What does that? Is that from something?
No, I feel like didn't Dax Shepard or somebody heavy or famous, maybe Anthony Kiedis, somebody's from Deerfield, Michigan.
Really?
Okay.
No, nobody is from Deerfield,
I'm
Michigan.
telling you, somebody's from Deerfield, Michigan.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious. I think I would have known.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You know
not to
what I
say
mean?
right. Like, look,
Like, because
I've been wrong. Don't
they'd
get me
have been
wrong.
all over that shit. That
But
would
for
have
some reason,
that would have created
Deerfield-
an identity for a lot of
Right,
people over in
right.
Deerfield.
Well, if not, you're carrying the torch, babe.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I was only like a couple of years there.
Right.
It's funny actually because we rented a house and me and my dad and my stepmom and her daughter, and they rented this house that was like a drug dealer's mansion, a drug dealer's McMansion.
Wow.
The guy had gone away for doing cocaine for like a few years earlier. He was like
the
in the slammer. And but he left it in his parents' name, and so we rented it. It was like cheap.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Right.
But it had a cool story. It has like a giant safe in the basement.
It's Tony
That's cool.
Montana's.
Yeah.
I do have an answer to your question.
Okay.
Danny Thomas is I'm going to read it. Danny Thomas is the most famous person from Deerfield,
Who the
Michigan.
hell's Danny Thomas?
Their zodiac sign is Capricorn. They were 79 years old at the time of their death. Their most notable profession was comedian. They are considered the most important person in history.
Danny
Born
Thomas.
in Deerfield in the state of Michigan.
Yeah,
right,
I
well, that ain't
remember.
it.
I like it's ringing bells.
What about,
I try not to
ask
think
where
about.
Dax Shepard was from.
He died. This dude died in 1991.
Yeah,
But you hear
That
what
was
I'm saying?
my year.
Ask him where Dax Shepard's from.
Dax Shepard. Who's that?
He's just he's an actor, comedian, podcast guy.
Yeah.
He's married
married to
the
Kristen Bell.
gal that does Frozen.
Kristen
Yeah.
Bell.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
He's from Milford, Michigan. It's probably close. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No,
Michigan's
it's not.
big.
That sucks. I thought he was from Deerfield. Well, anyway,
Danny
good stuff.
Thomas, though. I mean, that's
Danny
not
Thomas,
nothing.
man.
you can't miss
He
with
is the
That's
Danny.
most
his name.
famous person in history. He's a comedian.
79-year-old
He was
comedian.
born in 1912.
Oh, Jesus.
And Matt Muirhead.
And Matt Muirhead.
Yeah.
He's not from Deerfield.
Well, a
Michigan,
couple
though.
of years.
He just
I
lived there
don't
for a
know.
time.
He touched Deerfield briefly.
Oh, yeah,
in his,
totally.
Yeah,
All over it.
All right, that's right.
Yeah, I remember like doing weed. Doing weed.
Doing
like,
weed, right.
You know, booze cruising. You know what I mean?
Wow,
We just
yeah.
drive down a country road.
Oh, yeah.
Like foot off the gas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Beer in the trunk.
Yep.
So that
We
you know,
know exactly
one
what that
person
is.
like while the car's still rolling has to jump around and you know.
Yeah,
We
doing
grew
bong
up
hits while driving.
and purposely trying to get lost. I
Right.
mean, we did it.
Yeah.
Me and him are from Carroll County, and we used to end up in Pennsylvania sometimes. Sometimes we'd end
Yeah.
up in Virginia, just driving around all day, man.
That shit was
They
wild.
were good times.
Yeah,
God,
it
Yeah.
was incredible time.
But small town.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
so weird.
Yeah, you can't
know?
replace that kind of stuff. I mean, literally, we didn't do it many times, but we did do like tag acid, like 4 of us in one car on acid, 4 of us in another car on acid, dark night. We'll see if we find each other in the county,
We did it.
like the county boundaries.
We had
Yeah.
we were
And
had-
we
had-
found-
we had borders.
Like we
Yeah.
found
Highways,
each other and
landmarks that-
chased it. It
yeah.
was very intense. Anyway, good stuff. But it's
Yeah.
not about us, Matt. It's
Yeah.
about you. So
Yeah, so then
you were in Coral Gable. Or,
yeah, I dated a Japanese woman.
that's
Oh, right.
That's
And,
what it was. Right.
So she was a international student, lived in Japan, but had been in the States for a while, and so we dated for a long time. We lived together for a long time, and we maintained a connection. She had to go back. And then I eventually moved to Japan. I eventually
wow.
moved to Tokyo, and I lived there for about 4 years. I got married there, and then it kind of it didn't work out. But before I left, I met another woman who's a poet, and she was cool. And she's like, "I'm moving back to Baltimore, where I'm from."
Wow.
So I was like, "Oh, I'll just try that."
And were you like when you were over in Japan, you were supporting yourself on art, or what was
No.
You said no, I was homeless.
Yeah, in Japan, there's kind of like a life cut out for people who go over there and they teach English.
Sure.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? And it's kind of like cookie cutter life for your average like gaijin to do. And so I did that.
I got you. So if you go there, you can. It's like a cookie cutter style. You'll be fine.
You can do it.
Right.
You can get a work visa from one of the schools if you get hired.
Interesting.
It's
you
funny,
have
though.
Forrest Gumped your way a little bit through.
Yeah,
life,
I've never.
Sounds like.
So I've never told anyone this. All right, this is an exclusive.
It's just us.
wow.
It's just us, babe.
Exclusive for the Sanity Lounge.
Right.
So I'd saved some money to move to Japan, right? And but my wife wouldn't just let me marry her so that I could just get a work visa that way. I had to do it on my own.
Right.
And so there was like an ad that I answered because if you have a degree, you can get the work visa from a company, right? So I bought a degree from somebody for like $700
On the black market?
It was like it was
700 yen or 700
no 700 American dollars
for a degree.
For a degree, yeah, it came. You get the degree, and
Sure.
it has a phone number attached to it,
Right.
and the people can call that number, and they'll be, yes, he's got a degree with us. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's awesome.
And so I think I paid a deposit of like $300 or $400, and did a couple of interviews in Toronto. Like drove to Toronto to do interviews. I was terrible at it, like
Right.
teaching English. I would just like, I remember being in an interview with a woman who's a Japanese woman who's doing the interview to see if I can do this thing, and I'm like, sure, we'll do it. She's like so cute. She's like the most beautiful woman I think I ever seen, and so I'm like in this mock lesson, and she's like, she like does like a how I don't know. She asked me a question, and I just didn't know how to answer it at all, And so I didn't get the job, and I didn't pay for the rest of the degree. So I only actually spent like $350 on it, I think.
Right,
so
right.
that was fine.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just like I was in my 20s. Didn't know what the fuck to do. Like Toledo,
Right.
Ohio is like so depressing.
Right.
Like it was, I had to be like working at a factory. I cleaned floors in a factory for a while,
Right. There was like
all
4
kinds of-
options in the entire
Yeah, like
state.
putting bottle caps, like fucking Laverne and Shirley or some
Right.
shit. You know what I mean? Like fertilizer bottles, just like putting caps on.
I worked an assembly line job for his uncle one time.
Yeah.
That was like not even an assembly line. Like we were the first part of a circuit board. So I was like took the little capacitors and like
Yeah.
put them in a machine and hit a flip pedal that cut them to length.
Yeah.
Thousands
That's
and
all you did.
thousands
Yeah.
and thousands. Like I would fall asleep
Yeah.
because we were drinking a lot still, and his uncle ended up firing me, which was for the best.
It was for the best.
And we figured out who he is because we talked about that with Jason. It was Craig.
It was Uncle Craig.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out Uncle Craigie.
Oh, that's cool. So it was your uncle?
Yeah,
who
yeah.
gave
He
you the
hired me
job?
and he
yeah.
fired. It was
How
great.
long have you guys known each other?
We've been close since '92. We
92?
first met, I
Wow.
think, in late '91, probably at Sylvan
Yeah.
Learning Center. I was an idiot when it came to
Holy shit.
algebra,
Yeah.
Right.
and you were in there for what?
I was awful at school.
Everything. He was in there
I was
being tutored
terrible.
on everything. I was being tutored on algebra and still never
Yeah.
learned it. And a friend, Jamie Grocky, he also went there.
And Kenny.
And Kenny,
The guy
yeah.
with the head on the wall over there.
Oh,
Kenny,
yeah.
we met at
And
Silver.
I remember
Yeah.
the first time we met was out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And we've been friends since.
That's good
Been
stuff.
through a
And
lot together, lived in
You
Florida
watch,
together. yeah.
watch episode 1 and
Yeah.
we deep dive into our
Okay.
history.
Episode 1, we interview each other.
Yeah.
That's how we
Right,
kick
right,
off the whole thing.
Nice.
right.
Aw.
Yeah.
I should watch that.
Yeah,
Yes.
man, it's good stuff. So, okay, so you get back from Japan, you're rocking and rolling. Or no,
Yep.
the lady tell you. So when you came back
So,
with this
yeah,
lady from Japan, were you guys an item?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. We dated.
but that's not your current.
Right. Yeah. There's
Okay.
A lot of water under the bridge.
Yeah, no, I dig it, man. I'm just trying to put it together. Just trying to put it together.
She was a poet, though.
That's
Nice.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there
Which
was
I thought
probably
was awesome.
Yeah, there's fruit in any art if
Yeah.
you're an artist. You know. What I mean?
But but I did. I started painting. Like after high school.
Okay.
Right, because I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do, and my parents had a little space in the basement. They took down some paneling from the wall, so I had these huge pieces of paneling, and I was like, oh, I'll just buy some house paint, go down on it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Right.
I had watched this movie called, I think it's called Manhattan. It's like
Manhattan, Woody
there's
Allen?
like 4 directors.
Okay.
New York Stories. That's
Yeah,
what it was called.
New York
But Woody
Stories.
Allen is one of them.
Right.
And I forget the director of the one that did this one. That's like this artist in New York in a penthouse, and he's got these huge canvases he's just throwing, and it's playing like Procol Harum's "A Whiter Shade of Pale."
Right.
Just like I don't even know what happened. Something happened to me, and I was just like, oh, I got to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
cool.
you throughout high school and stuff, you didn't mess with painting, or you did it, you knew you could do it, and
So in most of my high school, no, I loved my art classes.
Right.
You know what I mean? I did pretty well in them.
But you weren't thinking about doing it for like.
Well,
a
you know
job.
what I do is like I made flip books for a
Oh,
while.
yeah,
You know what I
nice.
mean? Like
Right, right.
flip books of a guy getting an arrow, cutting his head off, and his
Right.
head flying. You know what I
right,
mean? People getting into accidents and these gory little things.
Right.
And so I did a lot of that, and I loved just passing them around class, and people were like, "Oh my god, it's fucking great." So yeah, like I loved the feeling of like showing somebody, "Oh, look what I did," and them being impressed by it.
Yeah.
and then when you're in the basement, you just start painting.
Yeah.
Did it look good, or did it? I mean, this whole. Let me just tell you, Matt, right
Yeah.
now. What happens is we get people in here who are
Yeah.
dynamite at their craft,
Yeah.
and it seems like most of them, thus far, just kind of stumbled into genius. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, is that what this is? It's like you didn't like you're a good painter.
You didn't know you
Yeah.
could do it. You were just like, I'm going to
You
try
know what
it.
it was? Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah.
Like when when you decide that you're going to make art and show it to people in 1992 in Toledo, Ohio, people look.
Right.
And you're like an art scene now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like people liked them.
Yep.
You know, I'd sell them at my drug dealer's house. I would hang them at my weed dealer's house. You know what I mean? And occasionally he would buy one, or one of his clients would buy one. You know what I mean? So it was just like, I had my first show at this weed dealer's house. You know what I mean? And I hung like 12 paintings or whatever, and they had a big party, and it was fucking awesome.
But do you have, or do you remember what the first painting you did was? That kind of kickstarted
the first painting
everything?
I did. You know, what I did was, you ever seen the picture of, there's a statue, a Roman statue of Constantine. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever seen, it's like a giant head. It's like the head's probably about the size of this room.
Where is the statue?
It's in Rome. I
gotta
saw a
believe
picture
Rome.
of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably still there. Constantine.
Well, it could be in a museum.
But, so anyway, I was like, I don't know where I saw the picture of this. I think I had like a magazine or something. I had a picture of it in there. I was like, I'll paint that. So I just painted his face, and it looked too much like his face, and it was just like there was nothing really there. So I like made it like old and made him crying, you know.
And what age is this? Like,
this is just after high school. It's probably like the summer after high school.
That's when you started just getting into it.
Or like a year, maybe a year after high school. Maybe it was like when reality set in, like, oh fuck, my life's gonna suck in Toledo. You know?
Goddamn! Shout out Toledo,
what
baby.
the fuck am I gonna do here?
Deerfield, Toledo.
The man
I
went
mean,
to
I think
Japan because
Toledo is a great place,
right?
But you know, like those stickers you see them in Baltimore. Actually, I like Baltimore.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You got that's the kind of thing you
Hi,
have there.
we're
Where it's
in
like
Delaware.
I've never met anyone from
Have
Toledo
you ever-
or that
there's a
has even
song-
lived there.
There's the song Saturday Night in Toledo, Ohio. But, you know, Saturday night in Toledo, Ohio is like being no place at all.
I don't know.
I haven't
And
heard it,
so,
but
what's
I'm gonna
his
have to check
name?
it out. It sounds like
Sinatra?
John
Sinatra.
Denver.
John Denver.
Oh,
yeah, it's a
shit.
John Denver song. It's a fucking
He
great
always
song.
sang about places he
Yeah,
wasn't from.
you're
Yeah.
a Denver head over there.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
believe
Oh,
that.
I
dude.
think everybody secretly is.
We should
Yeah,
listen to
I-
that song, man.
He was with the Muppets, baby. I love it.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
What a nice man.
I know, man.
You
This
know?
fucker
You look
died
at
in a
him.
plane crash. I mean,
that's
can you believe
wild.
that? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
right. I forgot about that.
like not even a. Not that it would matter, but it's like it's like it was like a one seater or something.
Right.
It was a real.
Or he'd still be around
Yeah.
singing.
Him and Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The sky belongs to the stars, baby. You know.
Yeah.
All
What are
right,
we
so
talking
where are
about?
we here? So we're in Baltimore right now. You come back from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get back to the city and you immediately start.
Yeah, well, I had, so I got to travel quite a bit when I was in Japan. I got to travel by ship quite a bit when I was in Japan, which was really cool. But I had lots of paintings. I had bought rolls, like giant rolls of watercolor paper, and cut them into sheets that were about this, like, yay big. And I was just painting on those using inks and stuff. And, you know, I had like a whole stack of like 30 or 40 of them. And I came to town with those.
Why were you traveling by boat so much?
So
Not that I just curious.
my wife is like one of the coolest people you'd ever meet.
Nice.
My ex-wife, and
Right.
so she worked for a company called Peace Boat. That was a Japanese company that would sell. It would sell global voyages to Japanese people. There was an international crew. Like, you know, you learn English, and they would hang out, or they would partner with all these different NGOs all around the world, and the boat would just take a global voyage and stop in Sri Lanka,
Wow.
you know, Taiwan, you know, Vietnam, you know, Greece, like.
Did you
New
paint
York.
on these voyages and stuff?
Yeah, so I had like a stack of paintings,
pretty cool.
and
I like it.
you know, and I was just using inks, right?
Right.
They were just little inks, and they go really far. And I just do a lot of very thin washes and build up. And so, and I was folding the paper, so I'd do like some ink, you know, in a pattern or wings or something, and I'd fold it and I'd create these like symmetrical
Wow,
kind of things.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I came to town with those, and you know, I just like.
So Baltimore's been your last stop?
Yep.
And how long have you been here now?
I came in 2007.
2007.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you about these about the ship sailing or the
Yeah.
boats. How long are we talking being on a boat?
So
like that?
so it takes 3 months to go around the world.
Holy
and I got to do
shit.
it twice.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
around the world.
It's like 32 countries. It was really intense. Really awesome.
That's amazing.
And you were with your wife?
Ex-wife.
How'd that go? Is that why you're ex? Goddamn. If I had to be, I mean, even if you have a strong marriage, that's a tough run.
It was. I mean.
But you were on with other people.
We were,
right?
Living the
how much you want to know?
No, baby, we go hard. Please
we
tell
did
us
get
everything.
married on the ship. Like the ship fell in love with our relationship.
That's fun.
And so we got married on the ship. We're already married.
The captain married you?
But yes, the captain married us.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Nautical.
Captains are all ordained.
It was a very wild bachelor party. You know what I mean? That was just
okay. So let's talk about here. Let's linger here as much as we can. But are we talking like you're in Sri Lanka and shit? You're at a bachelor party, or you're on the ship?
We did it on the ship.
Okay.
And like some of the ports are maybe usually there's only like 2 or 3 days between ports, but some of the ports are like 10 days apart.
Right.
10 days at sea is like rough.
Right.
So like people and the. So yeah,
so debauchery ensues.
Awesome. I mean, it's not really,
right?
But
good,
yeah,
right.
I
Good spirited debauchery.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
so
all
how long was this? How long were you sailing?
2 3-month voyages that were about a year apart.
And were you selling things? Were you selling paintings?
No, I was just teaching. Teaching art.
This was a job.
Art.
You were traveling around and
what
teaching.
happens is, if a person's married, they work for this company, and they work on the ship, they're away from their family for like 3 months, and they were losing people. Because nobody could stick it out, and they, that's the kind of thing you want somebody in your thing for like years and years and years, so they know it really well. And you can maintain control of like these 1,000 or so Japanese passengers on this.
See, 1,000 or so passengers. See, I'm envisioning in my head. I'm just thinking it's like a pirate ship.
Yeah,
and there's like a crew of like 13, and it's just him and his wife on there.
Right.
Yeah. They sell tickets to Japanese passengers.
It's like a cruise ship.
There's an international staff that teaching English, and they also have like. So, all the stops, you've got like historical lectures and things like that.
That's crazy.
About
That's
the country
awesome.
that you're about to go to. There's tours. That's what my wife did, was she organized tours. So this woman, the most well-traveled woman I've ever met, met Gaddafi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they stopped in Libya for one of the things.
That's a hell of a meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a keeper.
Yeah. Yeah, so
wow, that's good shit.
Yeah, so I got to go on it. I'm like the luckiest person.
Yeah, that's why. So you were born in England. You're a fucking world traveler. You hung out in Japan and Toledo and the South
and Deerfield.
Right.
You know what though? Like that's not really me.
Yeah,
that's the person I'm with.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like me, we haven't really left the country. I haven't left the country since I don't even have a passport right now.
Right.
You got back.
Right.
Because I'm like, somebody's
really
going to take me somewhere.
Thing,
I'll go,
Right. Right. Well, that's interesting.
I just hang out in my studio. I think that's one of the things that happened was that she's a traveler. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I've got to work on art.
Right.
And I want to build this. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to be known for, And so I couldn't, I just needed to have a studio somewhere. And, in the United States, it's great for that.
Yep.
Because there's people here, so a lot of what I do is putting art on the walls of cafes and stuff like that. I have art right now on the Natural Market in Timonium.
I saw that.
So, you couldn't do that in Japan.
Right.
You could do it, but they rent, it's like $2,000 rent for like a wall like the size of this in a cafe in Tokyo.
Wow.
So I was just like, I can't, I've got to sell the art to make the $2,000 and there's no way to do it for me, So
when you got back to the city, you were like, that was the plan, was to get your own studio.
I'd learned to sort of like fill the space that I'm in, you know what I mean, with my stuff. So I was doing it in the kitchen for a long time.
So it becomes your studio.
My studio's my garage. Cars don't fit in there.
Yeah, and if you're
and
more,
they don't go in there.
If you're more mobile, maybe it's just a big suitcase or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So art, you're an artist.
Yeah.
Do you have a day job? Or is that you support yourself with?
I got fired from my last job. I was a picture framer for most of my life, though. Other than the stint in Japan, I was pretty much doing picture framing, which I learned to do at Michael's Art and Crafts.
Nice. Of Michael's.
Yeah.
We want him to be a sponsor of Sanity Lounge.
I've used Michael's to frame some stuff before. They're good.
Yeah.
I cut my own mats.
They're fine.
Days,
that's cool.
That's good enough. It's not like you got to do math. Like you can screw the mat up.
Dude, I can't do that.
I don't think you can. I don't think if I gave you a picture and a mat and even a mat cutter, I do not think you could do it.
I could not do it, baby. Trust me.
You got to do the math. Yeah. You've got to be like really good at pushing the blade in.
Consistent.
You have to start because if you overlap at the corner, the corner has to be perfect.
Have
consistency.
So I'm deep into this. So my son goes to the Zoll studio in Timonium because he's currently applying for Carver for the fine art program, and I don't know when the transition happened, but he went from being a kid who likes to draw to being an artist who's incredible. So
he's incredible.
He's working on a portfolio right now for several pieces. But he's also a soccer player. Back in October, he went down hard, broke his arm, right arm.
Yeah.
Me and my wife immediately, bad. He's got plates and everything in it, but he's back. But in the course of that, he just decided to start drawing with his left hand.
Sweet.
And discovered that he could.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
That's awesome.
Impressive.
He's drawing with both hands. Yeah, that's like an instant Instagram like 10,000 followers right there.
The last thing, he's back now. Like his hand, he's still got his splint on, but he can use his right hand now. So the final piece for this portfolio is a self-portrait, like looking through the mirror.
Yeah.
So even though he doesn't need it, he's doing the self-portrait of himself with his sling on, with his broken arm, and he's doing this self-portrait left-handed, even though he doesn't need to do it left-handed.
This guy, I mean,
that's super sweet.
I don't remember where I was going with this.
You were just bragging on your kid, which is fine.
But I had a point before I started
That's all right. I don't remember. Wheel.
It'll pop. It's fine. It'll pop back to me.
Yeah. So where the hell are we now? Oh yeah,
that's
what
I.
You want to see a picture?
Yeah.
So the first picture that we do have, because we're going to start talking about, Matt brought several pieces of art.
Yeah.
So I see people do things like this.
Yeah. It's just like that.
I absolutely love it. There's one guy, I don't know if you've ever seen the videos, that takes it even further and busts out the wood and splinters the. He'll have these AT-ATs and he'll have how
with the laser
in the middle.
I hear what
in the
saying.
Middle, he'll chop
splintered
up,
wood and it's
chop it
burned
up.
and shit.
Yeah,
it's so
cool.
great.
So, but for the people that don't know, and I don't think I'm wrong here, this is like a thrift store painting.
Yep.
That you added the AT.
Yeah, I love going to the thrift store.
Which is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I love going to the thrift store, and man, I've always loved Star Wars and films and blockbuster films and
those are my
favorite and stuff.
Vehicles.
Oh my god, they're the most ridiculous thing to attack some shit.
Oh my god,
I mean, everybody knew they were coming.
I know what I was talking about.
Plenty of time to escape.
Matting.
Framing. Yeah.
I got you. All right.
We were in the thick of it. Right, so back to my son. They have their annual art show, which is next weekend. So I've had to take certain pieces that they want him to display and frame them and mat them.
Yeah,
I got you.
So they look nice.
Full circle. And you can do that shit because you've always been artistic.
Like, it's cool. I mean, you can even make angle. I've seen them. I guess there's a specific mat cutter that cuts on a curve, or you just you got to do it carefully. I haven't tried a curved mat though.
Yeah.
But that was it.
That's
nice.
Matting is not an easy task.
You need like a special. It's like a special thing that's like on an arm.
Yeah.
Like cuts.
And even just choosing the color, because certain mats can take away from the art.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole process.
Yeah. First of all, I like again, I'm a film lunatic. Yeah. And so when I saw that there was film flair in a lot of your art, I was like, holy shit, number one. Number two, the colors of these AT-AT walkers are perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, I don't know whether it's just because the painting, like the colors that you chose works well with the background.
Yeah.
But they pop perfectly.
Thanks.
And the shading, like,
so
it's
the
just
cool
a
thing is, too,
piece.
is that the sun set was already there.
Yeah.
Right.
And you incorporated it onto the sides of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are, so I do silk screen. And, you know, these images I created from, you know, just photographs from the film.
Yep.
That's
and,
awesome.
You know, and kind of mix them together so the poses look right for me.
And I know the big one in the center, that image is from when he turned and blasted the snowspeeder out of the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
The loose.
Yeah.
Right.
Classic.
Like he just turns his head and blasts it.
Right.
Yeah. But he has to, like, sticks out his back leg a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
piece.
like, you know, it's a thing. I have been doing it quite a while, but I did see somebody else do it, and then I copied them.
Yeah.
You know,
which is
Star
fine.
Wars into
It's all
thrift
good.
store pieces.
Yeah.
You know, with this particular
It's all
one.
good.
But here, let me grab another one.
Absolutely,
All right?
Yeah, you could take that one and, yeah. So there's what we have here.
Yeah, that's
Now
good.
that looks
That's
good.
perfect.
Is that right?
So
Yep.
we'll talk about this, but
Yeah.
I noticed one theme in some of your art is turtles and cats.
Yeah, a lot of cats. Yeah, you know, it's sort of, I mean, I am a cat fanatic. I'm a total cat nut.
Matt,
And squirrels.
I love cats.
You know?
Yeah, I love cats.
I like cats, but I have dogs right now, two
Yeah.
of them that don't like cats.
I love dogs, but I love cats.
I have a hot cold relationship with dogs.
I've always
because I
had
got a lot of neighbors with dogs.
Right.
They're not my friends.
Yeah.
I got bit
You know.
on the ass by a Rottweiler
remember.
pit bull, and it went for my throat after it bit a chunk out of my ass. Ever since
Jesus.
then, I'm like,
I've come up from a family of like animals. I mean, we've always had cats, dogs. My
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
my mother, they live in Finksburg. This was, I guess, 2 decades ago, but when my mother took care of the 100 cats that lived on the property,
God.
they lived in a groundhog hole with a groundhog for decades. And my mother finally removed the population. She got rid of them.
Yeah.
But
That's
humanely,
incredible.
no.
You,
So what?
so
her
you
and
got
my,
to hang out with like 100 cats?
Oh yeah, there's
goddamn-
they never these ones didn't come, but
awesome.
she'd get the babies, she'd capture
Yeah.
the kittens and give them away.
Yeah.
But her and my brother ended up eliminating the population by over the years capturing the adults and having them spayed and neutered, so
That's
they
beautiful.
just
Yeah.
died off eventually
yeah,
naturally.
it does
Yeah.
work if you can get them spayed
Yeah.
and neutered. You
And
can
it
keep
just
it under control.
but it was, I mean, decades.
Yeah.
Like it was wild. Like
Well,
she'd
that's
put,
I
she'd
think that's
put
a really
homes outside,
interesting way to
under, and they just
to grow
they'd
up.
be everywhere. But they weren't messy. And then
Yeah.
some of them she'd like one, and she'd be like, "Come on in," and then that cat would be inside, and
Yeah.
it would become
Yeah, we did always have pets.
Yeah.
Always had a cat or two or three.
yeah.
So you incorporate mad cats and turtles.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I like to just play and do whatever occurs to me.
Yeah, that
you know
works
what I mean?
perfectly. Like that scenery with that turtle.
Yeah, and I want him to pop, but I also want him to look like he fits in there. So you know,
Right.
it's like there's kind of a push pull of like what I want, and there's like, you know, I can do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could have hearts rising out of his head, or you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
But
it's
minimalist,
pure freedom.
right.
Being a painter and doing it long enough that you can sort of like, okay, whatever I imagine I can do is like a freedom. You know, it's like I love hanging out with my kids, but I would be in the studio all day, every day if I
Right.
could. You know, just doing it.
That's the
doing
drum.
it
That's
up.
me with
So-
drumming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I couldn't.
Does that turtle shell have any kind of neon paint on it?
It does,
or is
bro.
that
Like
an
hot
illusion?
pink, fluorescent paint. Yeah, I love fluorescent pink. I think it was my time in Japan that really solidified my love of the color pink.
Yep.
You know, it's powerful color.
Pink big over in Japan.
Oh yeah,
Is that right?
yeah,
Wow.
I
yeah.
can
The
see that.
kawaii
Yeah.
culture.
I get. Yeah. I mean, this might be dumb, but is Hello Kitty Japanese?
Japanese. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. Like
And
that
that's
whole
pink.
I think
soft
all
thing.
anime is Japanese. Yeah.
I got you. All right, well,
Yeah.
In fact,
me,
I said yen earlier, but I don't even know if yen is
yen.
the Japanese
right.
currency or
Totally.
Chinese currency.
No, yen.
Yeah. China's very different
China's
from Japan,
yuan.
I believe. Yuan? Okay, so I was right.
Yeah, it's close.
nice.
Close enough.
Hello
I
Kitty.
love how it pops. Like I said,
Yeah.
like part of the allure of these kinds of pictures with me is, the painting is already an established painting. You can tell, and there's something, like I just love the poppiness of this style.
Yeah.
And whether it's the fluorescent, I don't know what it is. But
There's also, these, this print is very faded.
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So that like it gives it this multi-dimensional kind of thing, like the background is, in this one the background is just like sort of faded,
Right,
and, but the whole thing's got a patina on it, and I love that about old stuff. But I do also
grab
paint
another
on
one.
like newer things. Like this one is probably something that you might find at
I love
Bed Bath and Beyond or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, maybe.
Because it used
Who
to
doesn't like
it used to be a vase right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wait
so,
a minute. So
the
the
flowers
you did not do.
Right.
Okay.
The flowers are like a, sort of a mass-produced kind of thing.
Okay.
With like a
now
vase.
I know what you're saying. By
And
Bed Bath
and
Beyond.
so I print this, and this is a block from Fells Point.
Yeah.
This cool building.
Wait,
with
is that Thames Street?
Yeah, I think so. It's Alice Anna and
Yeah, it's the cobblestone. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if you go straight that way, you'll hit like Fleet Street.
Yep.
But
Schaefer,
you go up Alice
Schaefer
Anna.
right there.
No.
Christopher
no.
Schaefer, he's like down that,
Right.
down that way a little bit. Yeah, take a right up there.
Right.
But this building is really cool. It's this corner triangle building, and it's got two statues of mermaids. It's from like the early 20th century. But, it's like, it's a sense of place. And so a lot of the things that
I just love the mix. So it's, it's I don't know what it is, but I love how it's like the flowers are bulging out of the top of this Baltimore building, like Animal from the end of Muppets.
It was, I'd never really experienced, until I moved to Baltimore, like abandoned buildings that have like trees growing out of the top of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. And I worked for a long time to try to capture that, and I never really did it successfully until I started, and still just like hitting the thrift store and being like, what could I do with that?
So that
I love that.
That's what I do too. Is I would go to the thrift store and buy all these frames, and then I take the stuff out,
Kick the frame out.
But I put local artists' art in them.
Yeah.
So I don't like buying Michael's frames anymore. Like I am.
Right.
I mean, you don't even need to.
I go buy these
like
all
beautiful
Garrett's.
oak frame or something for like $7.99.
Right,
and
they're incredible. Like I have this. I bought it from I can't remember her name. I have a card, but it's Carnage and Venom heads. And it's almost like a yin yang, and they're coming at each other. But she painted it with tar. And and it's huge. It's a big painting, and I found this giant. I mean, it's even bigger than that.
Yeah.
And I found it for $10 at a thrift store, and I like triple matted it. Like it's incredible. It's my favorite.
Painted it with tar, huh?
Yeah, it's
Sounds
really
appropriate.
cool. I wish I
It's
had
appropriate material.
I wish I had a
That'd be
picture
tough.
of it, but it's incredible. I'll send you
be a
a
tough
picture
clean.
of it. But all the art hanging in my house is from local. 95% of it's from local artists.
Cool. Yeah.
Like
That's why when you were like Bed Bath and Beyond, he's like, ugh, I don't like that.
the live, laugh, love.
Yeah, I know. And I've like.
Although there is cool stuff.
This, I didn't buy it new. It's from the thrift store, so I kind of limit myself to that. I will occasionally hit up like an antique shop or something, but I try to limit like $50 is like the most I'll spend. Right. I'm on Facebook Marketplace looking for stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to make sense.
You know?
So do you, like you just saw the flowers. Mm-hmm. So did you see the flowers and decide you wanted to do that underneath of it? Like how does your process work?
Yeah. So, you know, back when I first did this, because this is like a recurring motif that I have where I'll take like, you know, flower pictures are all over the place. You know what I mean? So it's like, finding pictures that I can do something with pretty solidly. Here, I'll get this other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on your site too as we're talking. But there's a lot of flowers blooming out of the Domino's sugar factory.
That looks great in the picture. Yeah, like that painting.
Yeah.
It pops. I love it.
This is another one. That's flowers.
This one is
amazing. So explain this one.
Yeah, so, you know, again, just more flowers. And I was
is this a thrift store?
That's hair now, you know?
So, again, there was a vase where the skull is.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I've just, over time, I have developed a bunch of ideas and I just keep hitting them again. You know, I'll like go to the thrift store. If I see something with flowers and it's like a surface I can work with, that's all I need. Right. You know?
So be on the
and
lookout
it's
for
like,
flower
it's
paintings.
fun. It's like just being, you know, I love going to the thrift store. I've always enjoyed that. And, you know, and now I can be creative while I'm there. It's like a creative act to just walk through the thrift store now.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. When you see the painting, you just know you want to work with the painting, or you immediately are like, I got that, you know, like I know that the skull's going to go on this one. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, that's more like in the studio. I'll like... I've just got everything. Yeah, I'll be like, I could probably do something with that. $7.99. What have I got to lose?
Gotcha.
You know.
Yeah.
So and then I have it at home, and I'm just when I'm down there, I'm just like, like what could I do with that? You know. Right. And sometimes it's like with silk screens, I've got hundreds of silk screens that are like out in just outside my house, and you know, I can just like, okay, a skull. I've got like 4 or 5 skulls that I've made. And I'm just like, pick the right one for the shape of the thing, or you know, or whatever.
So what's a silk screen?
I was to say, explain to me like I'm 3.
You know,
a silk screen.
So a silk screen,
is it kind of like a stencil?
It is very much like a stencil. Yeah. Except, so you can use like I use photocopies to make my images. I like print images that are just black and white on a big sheet of photo paper, or not, you know, like a photocopy, like bond paper, you know, and then coat it in oil, and it becomes translucent when the oil hits the paper. Right. And I coat a piece of silk screen, which is, you know, you get it on a roll, and it's very porous. You know what I mean? And also it's made of nylon, actually, so it just rinses, you know, you can rinse stuff right out of it. The photo emulsion, I spread a thin layer of photo emulsion over the whole thing, let it dry, and then basically when that gets hit by sunlight, like a certain amount of sunlight, what I use the sun to do it, it sets, right? And so my design creates a shadow on that silk screen, that sensitized screen, that after I take it back out of the sun, I can rinse it out, and I've got a hole in that screen in the shape of that design that I just had on there.
Did you understand all
that? I mean,
I've worked for years to try to come up with a way to explain this.
Dude, I did.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I listen to these over and over.
So if you imagine a stencil, but instead of just air and a finger that you can go through it, it's like a piece of silk, and you can just like use a squeegee and just press ink right through it onto your surface.
Yeah, like how Chris was saying, like T-shirts.
Yeah,
totally.
Like Rad Racing T-shirts.
Yeah, yes.
That's for Ben Davis.
Yeah, T-shirts, which I do. You know, I print shirts. I like going to the thrift store and buy a bunch of cheap T-shirts or dresses or whatever, and print, you know, like skulls and, you know, turtles and.
So do you have like like Bunny Lebowski, like a studio of paint like slung everywhere and shit like that? Or is it,
that is pretty much what it looks like. Yeah, we moved to Parkville, and I have the full basement. I have the run of the basement.
Nice.
So
we live in Middle River now, but I lived in Kearney for 14 years.
Yeah.
Connie's.
Yeah. Just outside the Beltway.
I know, it's funny. The because I do a lot of markets and stuff like that. I used to set it with Stacey Chambers. You ever meet Stacey Chambers?
No.
Oh my God, but she has a bus that I painted a long time ago, and she sells like vintage clothing out of there. She does like the JFX market and stuff like that. So anyway, we're always like, we're carnies.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like.
I wonder if she was at Hot August this year.
She definitely does Hot August.
Oh, then I bought headbands from her then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great person. Great person. Anyway, a person that I've met since I was in Toledo that, formed a partnership for a period of time, and we worked together, and it was great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So do
you have any more questions for me?
Well, no. I mean, so is there? You got another piece or two out there?
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, this is fascinating. Because,
I love the skull.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
My wife loves the art world, and I love the art world whenever I pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And I always take it for granted, and so that's why,
It's cool, man.
Now this I love.
There's nothing I'd rather do than make some art.
I'm saying it, so it's for anybody that's listening to this episode, stop it. Go to YouTube or Spotify and watch it because we're going through the art.
Yeah, right. We're looking at this art, by the way. Right. So don't just listen to this fucking thing. Watch it.
This is a watch episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is
God damn, I love this.
Awesome.
It's War of the Worlds.
Right.
The tripods attacking people's houses.
Yeah.
How fucked up is that?
Right.
Just attacking people's houses with the heat ray.
You know what the landscape also reminds me of?
Yeah.
Is the scene in Lord of the Rings when they're describing like what would happen, and it shows the orcs.
Oh yeah.
When they hit the Shire.
Yes.
Oh my God, I know.
That's kind of what that, like, I could picture even orcs and things like that with the fire in the background.
So this one I really altered a lot. Like I painted out the whole sky. So the sky is just pure red.
Yeah, I feel like that was a nice blue sky.
And there was another tree there, but I was like, there's too many trees. So I painted out some of the trees so that I'd have more sky to work with. And
the red's an awesome touch.
Yeah, the red. And I got some cadmium red. This is like the real shit.
That's real red.
The real cadmium.
That's not orange.
Are you shitting me?
I think it's cadmium light red. But it's like some of the most intense red paint you can buy.
Right.
Like it's got real cadmium.
Yeah, that shit looks
real mental illness if you lick that. Right. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Heavy metal.
Go for it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not done now.
But so this particular tripod is from Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds from the 70s.
I don't know.
It's a British double album that came out that was like it's a musical version of War of the Worlds. If you haven't heard it,
it's a deep cut.
It is awesome.
Really?
It's like
I've definitely
like
not
crazy
heard it.
synthesizers.
If you haven't heard
Hell
it,
no.
I haven't heard it.
Like
Orson Welles and Tom Cruise. That's it.
Right.
Richard Burton plays the main
I've never
guy.
seen it, but I do remember that I remember the Richard Burton. Well, I've never seen it, but I do know that there's another version.
Yeah, but it was, it's not a film. It is just a double album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this:
But the album cover has this particular design.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Martian.
Nice.
Right.
So, because of your English history, did you know that?
Yeah, I grew up with that. So my dad was big into electronic music,
right?
And he had stopped listening to rock music, I think, when I met him, and he was just like into Vangelis, and Jean-Michel Jarre, and Andreas Vollenheimer, and
Vangelis did the soundtrack to Blade Runner, baby, right?
Yeah. Oh my god!
Oh my god! Like,
what one of the coolest small details, the debris, like the black dots, the debris flying up,
it's a nice touch.
It is.
Yeah, it's just ink. It's just like ink and a fan brush. Just
See, that's that kind of Bob Ross shit that, like, if I watched you do that, you'd make it look easy, and then I do it, and it looked like a piece of trash.
Yeah, it's a lot of control, you know. It's
a
lot of control.
You gotta try it.
But yeah, I mean, but it's, you know, a lot of I fuck up a lot.
Well,
you know what
I mean,
but that always takes me to another place that I wouldn't have gone if I didn't.
That's what I was
going
to ask you. In the art world, I feel like it's much like drumming, where like I fuck up all night, but I'm pretty good at selling the fuck up.
Right.
And so, and I think that might be across all arts. You know what I mean? It's like if you're good at your craft, you know, a fuck up is a new venture.
Even me, like I can't draw or probably even paint Edgar Allan Poe, but I can sculpt him in clay and make a three-dimensional.
Yeah, that shit melts my face.
But I can draw him, but
you're a great artist. It would take me
forever.
Dude. Yeah. No, you're a great artist.
My problem is I don't know if you have this problem, is I can't finish. I kind of have to be told by my wife to stop. Like, she's like, that's
you can't finish.
Incredible.
Like, you don't know when to stop.
Yeah, I over critique myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I constantly am critiquing myself, and I can never find a comfortable end point.
Yeah, you just make it a little. You always like, it's not quite right, or I can just make it a little bit better.
And my wife tends to pull me away. Like, even the xenomorphs, I do with the paint application on the xenomorphs that I do. It's.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined enough to know.
I start over sometimes. I redo it. But it comes with the territory, I guess. You're your own worst critic.
Yeah, I guess. So I worked a long time on, you know, pieces that don't, you know, they can be simple and they can be done, or they can be overworked and get really complex, and then they're done. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, you got to know when that sweet spot is. Of like, you know, you don't want to fuck up, you know, a Picasso by overdoing it, but you can't underdo it either. There's a sweet spot.
You know what it is? It's like, I will have a specific idea for a painting. That's what I want. That's what's in my head, and it's going to take a specific sort of a very specific execution in order to attain that, and I will do it. And then fuck it up. And then I'm like, that's not the one that's going to express that idea. And I put it aside, but I keep it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'll work on it a little bit later, and maybe something different will happen to it.
And
then that one that I had that specific idea for, I hopefully, you know, sometimes it might take me 3 tries to get it, to get it the way I want it, to get the yellow just right, or to get it solid enough, or, you know.
Right.
And, so, you know, but like, not all artists are flexible like that, I think. You know what I mean? Because you can have that specific idea, and maybe you've expended too much money on the materials to think about just putting it aside and then adding another one, and then having 2 that are similar but different, you know?
Right.
So in your quest to make one piece out of your head, you may come up with 4 other pieces.
There may be other ones,
throughout the evolution of that piece.
I got a big stack of paintings on my floor that are unstretched. I paint on unstretched canvas, so it's like a stack of canvases like this, like 30 canvases there. You know? And you know, sometimes I'll just go through them. You're like, how can I finish them?
Right.
You know.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got back there?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love the War of the Worlds.
Yeah, me too.
Even the Tom Cruise version. I gotta look up
if there's another. I thought there was another film. I did. It was Spielberg. You know, it was
like War of the Worlds from 1953.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that there was another film version.
No, not Orson Welles.
Orson Welles did the narrate. Like that's the radio version.
And then there's a musical version we got to check out.
That
the radio show
that scared the shit out of people.
Right.
You know, caused a panic. You know.
Right, because they thought it was real. Right.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe they did. I don't know. You know, you'll see.
The story.
There's an NPR program, and it's like, well, it didn't really happen that way.
Right.
Damn it.
They'll say one town.
I wanted a panic.
Real.
So this is one of the. This is one of the pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this one. Yeah.
A little bit closer. Yeah. Great.
This is one of the pieces I was telling Brian about.
Yeah.
It's the dunes.
That. Yeah. So I went to Ocean City over the summer, and I just, you know, shooting around with my camera, and I was like, oh, Dunes Motel. Yeah, that's that's a great subject. You know what I mean? I had the idea immediately.
Right.
And, just executed it, and it came out just how I thought it would.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I love the colors. I love everything about this.
Yeah. And
I've done we're judges on like a
everything about it. I love the yellow.
Waiting for that handshake there.
The yellow into the orange, into the worm, into like everything about it is.
Yeah, I like the red background.
Yeah, and I'll just like underpaint. A lot of when I work, it is kind of assembly line where I've got a bunch of pieces of wood like this, and I'll just paint like a first layer on them all. And then, of different colors. Yeah, this one is just like
just a piece of plywood. But just a piece of plywood.
I got it from this little old lady in Timonium through Facebook Marketplace. I don't know, I think maybe she lost her husband and she was selling out his little wood shop in the basement, and I went there. And she's like, took me down there, you know what I mean? She's like, checked me out like on my way over, and she's like, oh, you're a good artist. I go, oh, come on in, And so, yeah, man. And, so I bought like 30 of these pieces of wood that are like 12 by 24. And, and now I've just got them, and I'm just like, oh, this is the blue one. What should I do with this blue one? I run outside, grab a couple of, sometimes the idea comes just like, flipping through my silk screens that I have outside, like with, just shelves of different designs that I can just print on there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a very fun process of choice that and like sometimes I'll even, this is funny. You guys ever use Photoshop?
Yes.
You use the clone tool in Photoshop, right? So I can clone tool these things by I print something and then say like a bit of the print is missing. Say like the teeth in this worm, like a bit of the teeth are missing. It didn't get printed properly or something. And I can just stick my thumb on it and pick up a print of the teeth and just put them somewhere else like it's a clone tool.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
It's just wild. Painting is so much fun. And silkscreen painting especially. Like, I don't know, I suppose I don't know other people that use this technique that I use.
Right.
You know what I mean? Of like painting into silk screens and really changing them. And sort of
I don't know.
Doing them over and over again in different iterations.
It'd be interesting to watch that process because I'll be honest, I don't think I understand it.
Yeah. Well, I do have.
It's not like I fucking understand, but I get the concept of it.
Yeah, I do have a lot of reels on my Instagram, which is at Matt Muirhead Artist.
Nice. Okay.
And, so you can watch some of those reels of me like printing things and some of the way that I work on them. Yeah. And so you guys like Dune?
I love Dune.
And Dune 2?
Oh my God.
Dune.
The
new one.
Denis Villeneuve.
I like it, but I like the original also.
Listen,
both of them are
the Lynch.
I like
the
the new one.
Lynch, baby. Yeah. We love Lynch. There's no doubt about it.
But,
it had some production problems.
It's funny. I remember when that Dune came out. I think it was probably like HBO or Cinemax 84. Or something. Watched it over and over again at home. And, and then knew David Lynch when I got out of high school, and David Lynch is doing shit that's fucking up my mind. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like David Lynch, what other director is like the avant-garde that he is, and like at the local Cineplex.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The people
it's just like,
get to do the Dune movie, they get Lynch.
Yeah.
I used to watch Dune all the time and Crawl. Those were
Crawl. That's so funny. KRULL. That star thing.
That Predator kind of took that idea because they have that kind of bladed,
no shit.
Yeah, the
bladed star.
Yep. Right.
But
I loved Dune.
Yeah, I loved Dune.
Yeah.
Visually stunning.
The new Dune is incredible. And Skarsgård did.
The funny thing is, like, I didn't know that David Lynch's Dune was a bad movie.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's saying. That's
I
basically
didn't know
what
it was
he's saying.
bad.
Yeah.
Because it was awesome for me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Here's the
awesome
thing. In
me.
84, I have never been into Lynch's Dune because I just remember when it came out, I was a huge Star Wars guy, and everybody was hyping it up to be the next Star Wars. I did not see it in the theater or anything like that. I saw it, must have been like 87 or whenever it came out on video. I ended up seeing it. But I remember it seemed cheap.
Yeah.
And I did not get the story at all.
Yeah, I don't know if this... See, that's what I never understood, how people couldn't follow Dune. Even the new one, people are like, it's so confusing.
No,
but
dude.
I don't think it is confusing.
Dude, if you watch Lynch's Dune...
Well, maybe his.
It's like...
I feel like his just kind of jumped... It kind of bounced.
If you know the story, you can follow it. And there is... I'm not saying... I'm not...
I mean, don't get me wrong. I haven't seen... Dune in quite a long time.
I'm saying the Lynch Dune is kind of a hard... I mean, like, if you know the story, you get it. But if you're just watching it, many people I know midway through are like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but again, there's people that love that movie.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do.
The Guild Navigator is
Well,
so
again,
trippy.
It's been a long time. I mean,
one.
I probably haven't seen it since the 90s.
I like it
Okay.
because of nostalgia, and I love Lynch Blue Velvet. I love Mulholland Drive, like or Mulholland,
Falls.
Mulholland Drive.
right?
No, Mulholland Drive. You're right.
Yeah. And Mulholland Falls was Nolte.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive is Lynch. Yeah. But like, I love Lynch. Don't get me wrong. But I just thought it was a miss that he was the guy. He thought it was a fucking.
Yeah,
he
didn't
was
like it.
why am I doing this?
Took his name off of it.
Sure, you know. And so,
you know what I like is big science fiction films.
Me too. Man.
I want to have my mind blown out.
Epic. Yeah. That's why this, especially Dune 2. I mean, Dune 1 was I'm like, oh, this is incredible. Yeah. And then Dune 2 just made it even more
exciting.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I have never read the books, but I'm like a big fan of sci-fi. I'm gonna do it. At some point, you know.
Well, look, we're not going to get into it yet but we usually end with a little bit of movie talk. Let's get through. Let's get through it. If you got any more paintings,
let's see.
Yeah, because all of a sudden we'll hook into my movie run.
No, that's okay.
I don't want to.
Here, there's this cat. It's a cat one. So
I love Domino Sugar.
You know what's cool about being in Baltimore?
That's awesome.
Is that it is a town that has a sense of itself, you know what I mean? Right. And it's got landmarks.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of really cool places that people love. And so, a little bit of what I'm doing is giving, it's like my fantasy Baltimore thing. You know what I mean?
I love it.
The cats for me, I have a lot of, I think growing up in the 80s and the 90s, especially the 90s, there's a preoccupation with like the apocalypse, like zombie films, big sci-fi, blowing up the White House, the end of
all the new age
the day
books.
After, you know what I mean, and like all these sort of like nuclear Holocaust horror kind of things, Mad Max.
Yes.
And so, for me, and the kaijus, right? Like the Godzilla and the, and the sort of like the destruction from this chthonic force or something. So, for me, I have a lot of fear of that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think from just sort of absorbing it through the culture. Sure. Like that fear of the end of everything.
The big bad monster that's going to kill us all.
Yeah. Well, and like, just fucking the apocalypse, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen even over the next few years, you know what I mean? It just has like accelerated. And so for me, like the pieces with the giant cats, for me, that is my sort of softening of the fear I feel of that. This is my cuddly apocalypse.
Yeah. Right, the big bad monster is just a kitty.
It's a kitty. Right? I mean, but it's still going to fuck you
up
and fuck up everything.
Have captured the personality of that cat perfectly, and I don't even know the cat.
So that's my cat.
I love
that's
cats.
baby Kitty.
I love the look.
And she is just like, I took this photograph of her. She was an alley cat. And she's a little sweet tortie. And so I was living in Hamden, and she came up, like, remember the polar vortex? A number of years ago, I was living in Hamden. And it was the coldest I've ever experienced, you know what I mean? And this cat runs up to me in the middle of the night. She's like, like out in the alley, and I'm like, oh my god, this cat's gonna freeze out here. So I grabbed her, I took her into my studio, and she's been my cat ever since.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good story.
She's like very sweet cat. I still have her. She's like just a cuddle bug, man, but she's old.
Yeah,
she's old. and she's she's like got to be like cats. 18 or 19. We're not really sure, Right. I got her like 12 years ago, and the vet said, "Oh, she's 9." We think she's probably about 9. Right, I'm like 9. That she's like, is she a 20-year-old cat?
She grew up in the city. She could have been. Check that tracks. Megan's cat, Simon. I've known many city cats. Simon was a cat. Megan's, and she lived on the top floor in her in the row home apartment. And Simon would just go cruising around the city, and then he'd always come back. We used to make jokes because sometimes he'd come back with the shit kicked out of him. Nice. So we always wondered and made fun of what he did.
Yeah.
Like he went and had games.
We stopped letting
games. Yeah.
We stopped letting our cat out. This cat when we lived in Hamden, because she came home one night. She smelled like rat shit.
Right. Yeah. Rolling around in it.
It was just rolling around in fucking rat shit. What are you doing? I gotta pet you? No.
Megan Simon was Heathcliff. That's what he did.
Shout out Swansea State.
Yeah. Right? And Simon. Rest in peace.
I guess also the last piece that I have.
Nice. That cat over the domino is wonderful.
All right. Actually, it's not the last.
Oh, wait a minute. Are they squirrels? Are they rats? Are they squirrels?
That's a good question.
Wait a minute. What was already on this?
I sometimes paint them as rats. This is actually
they're squirrels.
This does not fall into the category of.
This is a straight.
This
custom.
is just a painting, right on canvas.
Well, there's a lot kind of going on here. Yeah. So let's talk about this.
So I'm a big space buff.
Yep.
And Hamden boasts the control center for the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yep. Right.
And they over at on the Homewood campus there.
Yeah, I've been in there several times. We used to do
nice.
work in there. It's a cool place.
I got to tour it. Like highlight of my life to be in that control room. Cool. Like so great. But let's see. So these are actually squirrels. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I paint them as rats.
I can see the tails now.
You can, like, and that's the James Webb Space Telescope, and this is Elm Avenue.
Nice.
And row houses.
Yeah, that's a great painting.
Graphically, they're straight. There's a pattern. You know what I mean? It fills the bottom half of a canvas, like in just this beautiful way, right. I love the stability that it brings to a composition where I can have this kind of complexity at the bottom, and then the sky, I can just, you can just get as wild as you want with some sky, and, and it's like, if it's too weird, it's like, if you've done it so that it looks like a space up there, then you can get you can get weird phenomena, weird sky phenomena. You know what I mean? But like pink, when the sky is really pink, or or maybe there's like orbs floating in the sky for some reason. You know what I mean? And I love just the act of painting a sky, the way I feel like expressing it.
Yep. No, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's it's just a great shape. It's just I guess it'd be like for a musician, like having a certain key that they like playing, a certain set of chords in or something, and it's just like I'm really comfortable just jamming out in that, in that mode or whatever.
Right, sure.
And,
it's a great painting.
So I have a lot of my paintings look kind of like this, there's a cat up there and it's row houses, or
there's astronauts.
It's like the Death Star in the sky or something.
That's a cool painting.
Yeah,
the
and
Death
it's
Star floating over Domino Sugar Factory.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So it's just a fun compositional device, way to work. I will. So I brought a couple other things, and that you guys would like, I think, because you're music people.
Talking about space too, we this weekend I went to the Air and Space Annex down in
holy shit
near Dulles. where they have the Space Shuttle Discovery inside
Bar
of it.
Hazy?
Yeah. You've been there.
God, yeah,
that's the first time I've been there.
You see?
It blew me away.
Did you see the mothership from Close Encounters in
yes.
there?
Oh
my
shit.
God!
So,
like in the same room as the
it
space
was in my
shuttle.
picture. Did I not send it
I
to you?
don't know if
It's
I
in the
saw
space
that.
area, so it's the full scale model.
Wow.
I mean, it's not that big, but it is. But if you read about it, there's 5 things that the model makers put into it that you would never see on film, and one of them's an R2D2. There's a small cemetery, a U.S. submarine, a bus, a mailbox, like all these things. And I found the cemetery, like on the top. There's just a cemetery, like a cross, like some tombstones. I found R2D2's in my picture.
Damn.
But that place is amazing, and I had no idea that I knew a space shuttle was big, but I didn't know it was
it's
that
huge.
big. They had
they're
Enola. My favorite. I don't know why the SR-71 Blackbird has always been my favorite, like, ship of any kind.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
That's the first time I've ever got to see it in person.
Yeah, I had a poster of the SR-71 on
I
my
had a
wall,
poster, a model, everything.
Yeah.
I bought one of those little metal kits there so I could build it, and then the Enola Gay is there.
That's ice.
Like
That
the
is
actual
wild.
plane that dropped the atomic bomb. It's insane.
Well, it's some weird shit.
Hold that baby up
This-
when you.
Yeah, so this is
I mean, that is incredible.
Burt
this is an
Bacharach?
album.
It's Bert from Bert and Ernie.
I know
baby.
that.
It is it's not Burt Bacharach, it's Engelbert Humperdinck.
Engelbert
Humperdinck.
Yeah, because Burt Bacharach spells his name differently than Burt does
B,
with the U.
It's awesome.
Incredible.
You know, so I have a ton of albums at home, and I paint out the music, the titles that are there. Sometimes, but it's like I play with them.
You shape it to your
and like
will.
Just have fun with these things. I did a show at
Holy
WTMD.
shit, that's fucking awesome.
Oh,
I know. Why, Davis? I'm gonna have to get you.
I had a show at WTMD. Sam Sessa got in touch with me and was like, "Hey, do some. Why don't you put an art show up in the place?" And I did it, and it was like a blast. But I did all album covers.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's Terrence
very
McKenna.
Cool. Yeah.
Are you all right? Are you a
Well, I mean,
guy?
he's the bard.
Yeah. We talk psychedelics here.
Yeah.
Matt.
That's amazing.
So this is, I don't know if you recognize any of that album, but it is well,
I know a lot of these cuts.
Herb Alpert.
Let me see.
Yeah. It's a Herb Alpert album.
Oh yeah, Herb Alpert.
Yeah, Herb Alpert's
He's
greatest hits.
a
I think.
a sax player, right?
Stoned Ape Theory.
Yep, he's trumpet.
Some
trumpet.
horn.
Yeah,
some sort of horn, but great. He's slamming.
Yeah, I think it's trumpet.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Very cool.
So I try to. Like whatever I find, you
vary it
what
up.
Can I do with this?
Yeah,
thing,
you're a true. Like I said at the beginning, you're a true artist. It's not just like, hey, I paint. It's whatever you feel, you're creating.
And it's also there's a kind of an interesting dialogue with the audience,
right?
You know what I mean with what I'm doing, and a dialogue with this record album. I'd done a few of these. But they just took a long time and nobody wanted to buy them. So it was like not worth doing, you know what I mean? Because they took such a long time.
Right.
And so, but
I feel like
for a show at WTMD, I was like, I'll do a bunch of them.
I feel like it's one of those things that if somebody, like it's one of those, it could hit. Like if that kind of thing gets popular, all of a sudden, that's one of those cool things that if people get on, it
could go
hit.
viral.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden you're,
Right.
Now let me ask you this. We will eventually, after the show, for those who are watching or at the end of the show, you invented an instrument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about that briefly, and then we'll show you eventually
after.
So one of the things,
interesting.
I've done, I've always enjoyed music, making music. Right. I'm terrible at it though. Like I refuse to learn any kind of music theory really or anything, like because I'm kind of I don't know.
Eccentric.
I don't know what my problem is. That some things I'm just like, no, I'm just going to put a big black cloth over that, and I'm not even going to appear in that box. But I'm just going to be all over that shit anyway.
You're like, but I want to do it.
Yeah. So when I was in Japan, I met a guy called Bun who built his own kalimbas out of coconuts, right?
Kalimbas for the layman is
it's a thumb piano.
That's what I thought.
And
that's what we're talking about. That's the
So I
instrument you built.
It was so I met this guy. He built those things, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And so when I got here, I was just like, I'll build those. You know what I mean? And so I built them at gourds. I built them. It's basically there's numerous different ways to clamp down these spring steel tines and tune them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the resonator box and all the different parts of it. So it's very interesting.
That's an understatement.
I love I love electronic music and electronic sounds and stuff. And so for me, all the different sounds that I could make, I mean, just sort of like rubbing on a box even, I use piezos to amplify them. And so, anytime I'm building these things, they all sound so different and they sound very electronic to me. Right. So I was like, this is great because I can't afford synthesizers. There's been like a burgeoning market for synthysizers over the last few years, but man,
you got to have serious cheddar to that game.
But then now prices have come down. There's like so many different things that you can find out there, and you can spend $300 and be doing things that like they were doing on a a few $1,000 mini Moog or something.
Right.
Mini Moog. So yeah, for me it was like I couldn't afford synths, so I was like, I'll build kalimbas and amplify them, run them through effects. That
so
kind of thing.
This
to be
device
clear,
holds water also. Do they all, or just yours?
Well, most of the time they're just built out of like a little simple box or something, a simple wooden box, or they're like mounted to a piece of hardwood.
Right.
So I started building those and amplifying them. I did a few different things, you know what I mean? I worked, there's an Indian tambura, which is like the drone instrument that plays with the sitar. It just creates like, and so I tried to figure out like the physics of that, how that sounds, that long, slowly evolving sweep of this tambura instrument.
Right.
And what it is the bridge has to be just sort of like ever so slightly curved. And then when you vibrate the string, like the vibration moves up and down, and you get this like, I don't know if you can imagine, like the frequency drop off. And also the bridge is moving away from the strings very slowly, so that vibration moves back and forth against the bridge. And you get this, like a phasing kind of sound. So I built some of these things. I've made kalimbas that resonate with the strings like that, that, where I'm sort of playing playing with a certain rhythm, and it holds that, I had a band called the Immortal Jellyfish, and we were all like homemade instruments, like with pickups and amps, and it was loud as shit.
Yeah, to be clear, he walked in with a mixing bowl with the little, what are they called? What did you say they were called?
Tines.
Yeah,
spring steel tines.
And it has a jack for like it's
we've briefly heard it, and
it's incredible.
I love the sound.
Yeah, I'll wait till we get some water in it.
No, I can't wait.
Right, we'll have to clear that with Wheel, but we'll
get some water in there.
So now one other question. Well, before we get to my question, is the Woe Davis, he shows up here today. He's like, yeah, I told the artist to bring his art, and the guy told me.
I asked him if he had an easel. We're using a chair, as everyone can see.
But he said,
no, I don't have an easel, but I'm bringing a crankie.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to bring crankie. And I said, and Woe tells me, and I say, well, So what's that? And he's like, I don't know.
I didn't ask.
I said, well, how the hell can you not ask?
I just wanted to wait and see what it was. So, and what it is all impressive.
So explain cranky to the people at home, and there will be a demonstration at the end of this episode.
So it's basically just a panoramic painting. I think that painting is probably like 75 feet long or something, 80 feet long maybe.
Different paintings.
Just like us, it's kind of exquisite corpse. You guys are like where you have, one idea leads to another idea.
So I was going to say, is there a theme, an ongoing theme as you scroll through?
There's a story for me, but it would only make it sound stupid if I explained the story. So the story's
Sure.
And you painted them. You just painted and then rolled.
Yep. I have like, it's on a piece of Tyvek that's 30 inches wide, and you get it in rolls of like 150 feet. Yeah. And I just roll it out in my studio and start painting on it, and it's plastic basically. Yeah. But it's kind of a neat organic looking plastic because it's made from lots of different pieces of plastic. Right. All stuck together. So it's got like a very organic thing. It's tough as shit. It accepts paint really well. People use cutouts on black paper.
So that's that's a thing people do. Like you're not the only one.
Nope.
Did you invent the term cranky, or does everybody call it that?
Nope. As far as I know, that is an Appalachian term from whence the particular instance of things that are happening in Baltimore are mostly coming from there, like folk music. And so there's a thing at the Creative Alliance every year called the Crankie Festival, Baltimore Crankie Festival.
Oh, really?
Yep. Nice. And it's like a full-on variety show of all crankies, probably like 8 or 10 crankies or whatever. It's the coolest show ever. I did it for like 3 years, and then they didn't invite me back.
Well, look, it happens.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it every year. Sure. They tried to include me. It was awesome. But they asked me again this year, so I'll be doing that February 8th at the Creative Alliance. It's an awesome, like one of the coolest nights.
Yeah. So one of the new things we have going on, which we'll talk about, is what's happening Baltimore.com, which is our calendar.
Okay.
So we're partnering with venues all over the city, artists to just tell everybody what's happening. We're sending out weekly emails now, text messages.
Trying to organize entertainment.
But art shows, that's another thing. Like we have two supporters now, Guilford Hall Brewery and the Brass Tap down in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then artists, Ricky Wise, and artists that we've had on the show, any events they have, but that's just another thing, and we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, and basically, like if you're on the show, which you are, you'll be able to post your events on our calendar for the time being, for the immediate future, because we're trying to build some good rapport with it and stuff like that,
and just let everybody know what's going on. Like that's a cool event that
nobody
most
would
people
know about.
Probably don't know about unless you're already in that world.
Right. Baltimore Cranky Festival. Good luck getting tickets. All right.
Is that right?
Really?
It's like hotcakes.
Yeah, they go on. They sell out pretty quick. It's a 3-day thing. I think there's like 6 shows or something.
Hey, so let me ask you, how long? Like, is that a you work on it every couple months type project, or is that a what you're doing, and for the next 3 months you're painting 600?
So you make a new cranky every time.
So how many pretty much. I like to show new work.
Right.
I've had this conversation with friends about like, going out with new work or just like doing the same act. You know what I mean? My friend Landis Expander.
Oh man, we're gonna get him on. We get him on.
I met him at the variety show.
We occasionally will have a phone call with each other.
Nice.
And I was like, dude, I got to come up with something new. He's like, Matt, in the Almighty Senators, we had the same show for 30 years.
So speaking of Almighty Senators, they're reuniting at the Record coming up. That's going to be soon.
Yeah.
I
don't know if it's this month or next month, but it's soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be exciting. A great get.
Yeah.
You
talked to him at Chris's variety show.
I know.
He was there back. That was the July one.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was at the...
He said he would do it, so we just got to
reach out.
We got to reach out.
Have you reached out?
Well, baby, you're on scheduling. You know that. You do the
Dude, you guys should have Landis on.
100%.
I would love to see Landis on. Talk to Landis for like 3 hours.
Oh, my God. I know. I bet.
Yeah.
Well, we were there at the variety show one night, and I only know him from the Almighty Senator, so I'm watching across the room going, hey, holy shit, that's Atlantis Expanded, you know? And I walked right up to him and said, hey, how you doing? B. Lepo, Sanity Lounge, just my partner.
His music got a lot of people through the pandemic, I think. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Like, he's just right on it.
That's awesome. he's a true artist, you know, totally. Well, you know. Okay, so we're going to get to your cranky at the end. We'll give you a little demonstration of the bowl at the end. But do you have anything else for the gentleman?
No, if I think it's... well, yeah, I did want to touch on... so one of our recent guests in here we've had was Whiskey Feathers.
Yeah.
And I understand you've done some album art for them.
Yeah.
And most recently, Letitia Van Zant, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So... just tell me about. I know the Whiskey Feathers art. That's what I talked to you about when I saw you at the Hun Fest because they had just played and you're like, I did. That's when I found out that you did the artwork for it.
It's perfect too, by the way. Like it looks Whiskey Feather, like it works perfect with their vibe.
Yeah.
You know? So did you know that? Did you know that? What's your history with those guys, or did they come to you?
So they just messaged me, and I think I'm sure I knew. I think I'd met all of them at some point. And, man, you know, I love to do it. I love to have my work in that particular venue. Yeah. You know what I mean? Of like an album.
Yeah, that's
like
awesome.
Thing,
that's
cool. It's out there.
Right.
So I do that. It's a thing that I offer. Like artists can come to me, and if they see something that they like, I will license it to them for like $50 basically. If they want to buy the piece, they can buy the piece at like the regular piece price.
Yep.
And that's one thing that they did. They just saw that piece, they loved it. They didn't buy the painting, but I just like licensed it to them, and and then that piece is like a chicken on top of the Domino Sugar building.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going up. I just put it up for auction for Hamden Elementary School.
Yes.
Number 55. They're doing like a spaghetti disco fundraiser kind of thing. It's going to send each student on a field trip at some point in the year for free.
Okay, cool.
So it's like a nice,
good for you,
a nice charity. You know, I do that a lot.
That's good stuff,
I always advise other artists to do that too. Like, like when you're out on social media, it's like, oh, I'm an artist. It's difficult for me, and I'm tired of doing things for nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But like, do stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
If you're working with other artists or you're doing something for charity, figure out a way to get your art to be prolific with what you're doing, or like have one part of the thing that you're doing you be prolific at, so that you can do a lot of it and people like it, and and donate cool stuff, because a lot of people see that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff, man. I mean, because giving back is what we're about here at Sanity Lounge, and making Baltimore, telling people that Baltimore is more than what they see or what they think.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of good shit in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And
a massive amount of talent.
Right,
yeah.
a massive
From
amount of talent.
every
it's
aspect.
underrepresented, and, that's what we're trying to change. So.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love the album art.
Have at it.
Okay, the final
We've kind of
question.
talked a little bit about it.
Yeah,
so
I need to know if you can pick your top 3 films of all time.
Yeah,
give them to me.
I think I think my number one. I have to I think about this a lot.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I
and
love
my
this.
number one. And I can say it because it's like affected me so deeply, this film, over the course of time, is Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. It's like, that film is perfect. It's fucking crazy.
It's so heavy.
If you're
so deep.
If you're a father, that film is all about like your legacy, as a human being.
I'm an asshole.
Did you just say what I think?
I still haven't seen it, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here you go.
But he knows. This is the thing: is that I am a sci-fi geek.
I understand.
You.
Yeah.
And to me,
hey.
No, like us. Sorry, baby. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, baby. But we are sci-fi geeks.
Yeah.
He is more. We are always Star Wars, Star Trek, everything like that. But I go very heavy. 2001: A Space Odyssey was one of my favorite movies of all time.
So good.
And I swear to you, when I saw Interstellar in the theater week 1, I was like, it's 2001: A Space Odyssey and then Interstellar. It is heavy.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Trust me, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen it, but I know because I understand it's a commitment too.
It is.
You don't just sit down and watch it.
But you've got to it's very heavy.
And I just haven't. It just hasn't.
Yeah.
And
good pick.
This is just a side. Like when he first said Interstellar.
You're like, oh fuck! I haven't watched. I'm supposed to watch that.
But I also thought he meant Inner Space.
Inner Space.
Oh, dude.
I was like, that's a great.
What a great.
That's
pull,
a great.
Right?
That's a great favorite movie.
Baby,
the first album I ever bought was the Inner Space soundtrack
with Sam Cooke.
Incredible.
Sam Cooke.
Listen,
that Twisted the Night
don't
Away.
know much about him.
that one.
Twisted. Well, both of them, I think.
Who did Twisted on that one?
It was Sam Cooke.
That version of Twisted the Night Away is like the funkiest, grooviest shit I have ever heard.
And
let me tell you.
See, I bring it all full circle.
Listen,
Inner
and talk
Space
about.
Was still relevant.
You're right, baby. And look, Interstellar, we're gonna do.
I know.
But dig this today. Serendipity always happens today.
Right.
Your Paul Grabowski called me at work and said, anybody know what he said? No, you don't. He says to me, today, Lepo, when's the last time you listened to Sam Cooke?
Really?
Swear to Christ. And I said, your trailer in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason...
Paul, they play him on TMD every now and then.
I did, but I have not heard like. I'm just telling you, man. I have not. You sound like him.
No,
but Paul,
my voice cracked massively.
But Paul always loved Sam Cooke, and out of nowhere today he called me and brings up Sam Cooke, and then we talk Inner Space. I love
Interstellar to Inner Space.
Inner Space, though, we could talk about Inner Space. I've watched that movie a lot.
Jack Putter, man. I know. Like I'm a cinephile, baby. Martin Short. I love Dennis Quaid.
Such a great movie.
A young Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan when they were first married. Like everybody's still fresh and happy.
I'm going to watch Interstellar.
Dude, it is so good.
I still don't. The beauty of that movie for me is I still don't know anything about it.
Just
like
watch.
Nothing's been spoiled. Like I really don't know.
Spoil it.
Yeah, there's no way. Right? You'll have.
Like I don't know the ending. I don't know the story. I don't know anything.
Listen,
we'll
have to talk about it.
The only thing I know is that the tick is a day on Earth.
Yeah.
Every second and a half when they're on that's the only thing I know.
Planet,
on Miller's planet.
That's the only thing I know, but I don't think that ruins anything. That's just a time. That's time in general. When
it's a time dilation, mind melting.
But when they first saw the movie, people didn't. They heard the tick every second and a half and didn't know that was a day passing on Earth.
Yeah.
Right? Did you know that in the movie? Is it explained?
On Miller's planet, for sure.
They tell you exactly how many years, because to them in the movie, it's 15 minutes.
You got to watch it.
And they go back to the ship to find their buddy.
Yeah.
And he's like an old guy. You know,
don't give out too much. Don't give out too much.
All right.
Well, this is in the first hour of the movie.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But nothing's been ruined for me until now.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
All right. So that was your number one.
All right. Great pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
You know, the rest.
I'll let you pick the quote then.
Yeah.
You can pick the quote.
I've just thought about it a lot.
You can pick the quote.
Recently. You know, I mean, anything that David Lynch has done, anything that Wes Anderson has done, like all the good ones. You know what I mean? You know what is a really good movie that's like epic too is Magnolia.
Oh my gosh. Me and my son.
That shit's wild, man.
Dude, what a great, I mean, it's like 4 different stories that somehow and also Cruise in his finest hours.
I've seen that. I was going to say that's
Cruise's
Tom Cruise.
finest performance.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is
so
wild,
fucking
I haven't seen that in a long
off the
time.
hook.
Yeah, and if you see it, like if you watch
I've only
Magnolia,
seen that once.
let me tell you something. In Magnolia, like
Nicole Kidman's in it too, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it's
no.
What's her
Who
name?
is it?
Julianne Moore is in it.
Yeah, Julianne Moore.
It's like Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's an all-star cast, but not in that one. I don't think. Who'd you just say?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. It's not.
No,
she's not in that one.
Right.
But Wait, what the fuck's the name of the movie? We were
Magnolia.
Magnolia, right? So there's a great, like, Tom Cruise. The very first time you see him in this movie, he says something like,
"You are going to like tame the pussy."
Right? Respect the cock.
That's right.
Tame the cunt.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's his first line in the movie.
First line in the whole movie.
You know, and
he's a motivational speaker.
Right.
But it's funny because it's like all incel.
Right. It's
audience,
era.
You know
and
what
it's
I mean?
Era.
That's, you know,
it's
that's
like
wild.
in the late 90s, this type of guy.
Yeah, he's like an
was
Andrew
selling
Tate
big.
kind of figure.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah,
Andrew
I don't
Tate before Andrew Tate was, but like a macho, the era of Maxim magazine, that kind of dude selling
like
machoism.
salesmanship.
Yeah. But it was Cruise. I mean, I think he was even nominated for supporting. I mean, he didn't win, but I think he was nominated.
Yeah.
But it's his finest.
That movie's absolutely brilliant.
It really
though.
is. It's a great movie. Great pool, man.
Yeah.
2 great pools.
Yeah.
You know, and I like related to that is the Boogie Nights.
I
Yeah.
love it, man.
You know,
Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Wait,
No.
Paul
that's-
Thomas.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas.
Yeah,
Anderson.
right.
One of his things.
PTA.
Those highly talented actors.
Dude, Boogie Nights.
That's one of Amanda's favorites.
Again. Now,
It's my dick. I'll fucking
right. Mark Wahlberg and his.
Dirk
Diggler.
Yeah, the best character in that movie is John C.
John C. Riley.
Yeah.
Because he's a porn star. Like, even still, like, he doesn't look like one.
Not at all. But
Even
in the 70s.
Well, for the 70s, yeah.
I mean, you know, crazy. What's the hedgehog?
When he's dancing in the studio. He's singing that piece of shit
You've
song.
got the touch.
You've got the touch.
Yeah, you got the power.
Right.
That song is
But
really
John
out there
C.
too.
Reilly
I know,
was
and it's from the Transformers soundtrack.
Is it?
Yeah, the original animated Transformers
John C.
movie.
Reilly's just in the background doing the Running Man behind the engineer.
Yeah, and it's perfect because if you've ever been in like that kind of stuff with 2 dudes in the studio that's like really passionately into it, but it's not as good as they.
Oh no, it was awful. And that movie has one of the
incredible.
most to date intense scenes in the history of any movie I've ever
like
seen.
the drug scene.
Yes, the recreation of the Wonderland murder scene, but it wasn't. But it was that.
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
like Quentin Tarantino.
God, Thomas Jane sold that so hard.
And there's like that Asian guy, Oriental. I don't know. I don't want to be an asshole. There's a gentleman
throwing the
he's just throwing fireworks.
Snappers.
Yeah.
Right, every couple. So it's like the
So
music.
weird.
And Alfred Molina. God, it was such
Yeah.
I remember the first time seeing that. It was that may have been what caused my anxiety overall in life.
Boogie Nights. All right.
Did it on LSD and just never came down.
Probably.
I think it was when we did LSD and saw Natural Born Killers.
Oh, God.
We did that.
That was more jarring.
I took mushrooms.
That was my favorite movie for quite a long time.
I know.
I took mushrooms and went to see Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11.
Wow.
Just so dumb.
That had to be a upsetting experience. What? I mean, what
I
did
don't
that
know
look
what
like?
I was
know
thinking.
how to react to it.
Did you
the
know?
worst part was like there was a preview. I just remember it clearly. It was a preview for The Sixth Sense, you know, and it was just like the kids he's crying, like huddled on, huddled under the blanket, and there's something out there in his room. He's alone, and it's like.
Yeah,
Dude, Fahrenheit
I don't know why I did that to myself.
On mushrooms. What a choice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who would have done Natural Born Killers?
But damn,
that
I
movie
could
was
see
insane.
Natural Born
But
Killers.
it's like this is a documentary about one of the
yeah.
most upsetting things on earth, and like taking psychedelics. Although to reckon with that is an interesting. Like I would do it if I was trying to like.
Understand.
Yeah, like better the universe or somehow
come
like
to an understanding.
cathartically, but you didn't even think that far ahead. You just ate mushrooms.
I don't know
see
what.
This documentary.
I think the only other movie that I went to see on the psychedelic like that was Communion.
Wow,
with Christopher Walken.
Dude,
yeah.
Palak is dying right
That's
now.
another one.
That's a deep cut, dude. That's that story is wild. That really.
I read the book. Did you ever read the book?
I did not read the book.
Yeah.
The only reason why I know is because Palak, our Wheel's brother-in-law, as it were,
Yeah.
Palak is, since I've known him, is terrified of aliens and all that stuff. And so,
right,
you know, so literally,
he's texting you about the stuff coming out.
Oh yeah, right now, like today he texted me. But literally, we went to see in '93. We saw Fire in the Sky together. Remember Fire in the Sky?
Jesus. Yes. Right. That abduction scene is horrific.
Listen, we saw that. I saw that with Palak in that movie. Yeah. And in that movie, before the movie started, he told me how horrified he was of the movie Communion and the book Communion. Mm-hmm. And that's what got him into the game of all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I knew the movie. I never read the book. But, like, that's so funny that...
Yeah.
Communion, man. Deep cut.
So,
it's a good movie.
Apparently, so... My dad was really into UFOs, like in the 70s.
Right.
And he told me that he was a UFO investigator for a little while, and he would go and interview people,
dude,
that had experience.
That's so fun.
Now, I have to put my cards on the table. I think it is like a Jungian thing in humans, like a sort of our visionary shared hallucination or projection or whatever, or it's like government misinformation
of what.
So you're saying that you're not down with the idea of aliens?
I have a really difficult time believing that UFOs are coming to our planet.
I got you.
Could tend to agree with that, but like I was talking about before you got here. The oceans. I think that's where there's shit that's unexplained.
Things down there, yeah.
But I don't know.
Both of these things are definitely up in the airs. But I will tell you this: I'm a cat of numbers, and it just seems like I'm with you in the sense of like I don't know about the film version of aliens being what we're talking about here, but I do think that the vastness of the universe, and all the sweet spots of the golden, whatever they call it, like where the Earth is, where we're just right. That's
zone.
Right. The Goldilocks zone. The sweet spot. There's probably others in the universe. There are others. The potential microbes.
But if there are, they don't have the means to travel over here. Like we don't have the means to travel to theirs.
I absolutely believe. Right, and I don't say belief that often.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
I'm like a pure skeptic.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
But I do believe that there is life out in the universe, other than Earth.
Well, that's kind of my thing. It's like
maybe
I feel
even
like
in our solar system.
I feel like it's definitely out there somewhere. I just don't know if everything that everybody sees is that epic, or it could just be
I have a very
government,
difficult time with this idea that they're coming here, and that a few humans have seen it, and a few humans have even talked to them, or our governments are in communication with them or whatever.
Right.
That's very difficult for me to swallow.
The story, it's got to be more than that. If it is that they're it's got to be way more than that and way heavier, in which case we're all fucked. But again, it's fascinating to contemplate because
all the facets of it.
It's almost too much.
And so
for my brain to handle sometimes when I think hard about it.
Yeah.
Right.
About life out in the universe, or about people coming to visit us.
All of it. Just even death.
I love that shit.
I don't think death is as simple as death. I really don't.
Yeah.
Just
well,
because
it's not. I mean,
too much going on.
Right. Well, that's just it. It's like, that's the eternal what if. Is it just the computer unplugs and it goes dark, or is there a there? Do we think after the last
Neil
moment?
deGrasse Tyson, I think he was saying, he was like, it's just like you didn't exist. Like it's like it's like before you were born.
Before you
didn't
were born.
exist.
Right.
You didn't know.
Like,
you didn't know it when you don't know. Well, you're dead. You die. You don't know that you don't exist anymore, but you don't. Or do you? I don't know. Do you travel across space and time
a lot of
and start over somewhere? I don't know, but it fucks me up sometimes
it's
to think about it.
Try to not, in my head, the thing is, don't hold on getting an answer. Just enjoy the conversation about it, because it's fascinating.
And even Stan Lee, when Larry King asked Stan Lee if he believed in life after death, and he said no, absolutely not. But he said the one thing he couldn't wrap his head around was that nothingness can't last forever.
Right. Interesting. Well, if you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead or any of these books of the dead, it's like, it's literally a book of like what you're supposed to do in the first 9 days after you die, like what you're supposed to say. Yeah. And it's what do they call them? Like whatever the sermon, it's not a sermon, but it's constant talking. And the reason that they're talking their whole lives doing these chants is because these are the chants that for the first 9 days after they die, they're chanting in order to get to the when you're reborn. What do they call it?
Reincarnation.
Reincarnation.
Yeah. And who's to say that's wrong?
But I'm saying, like, some people out there, like my sister-in-law, one of my sister-in-laws, God love my sister-in-laws, but one of them claims that she remembers being in Nan Ann's womb. Like, and I mean, to this day, and this is my sister-in-law, she's older and very normal lady, but like she claims it, and I don't know, but like some people claim to remember these times that many of us take for granted. Now, whether it's true or not, who the hell knows? Peggy, love you, baby. I believe
Even Amanda's mother. Amanda's mother had a heart attack a couple of years ago, and when she was in the hospital, she swears that Amanda's father was there, and he was like, "Let's go. Come on. It's time. You're coming with me." And she's consciously remembers being like, "No, dude, like we got the grandkids.
Right, what are you talking about? Man?
Like, I'm not going anywhere right now."
Right.
And he let her go.
There's stories like that all over the place, man. I mean, it's interesting.
I think people's minds are a lot more plastic and elastic than we'd ever know.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like our suggestibility, the fallibility of our memories,
That
like for
fucks
me,
up.
like, every time you remember something, you like refile it. You know what I mean? So in certain situations in your life, you can recall a memory and it's colored by the context of your situation and the life that you're in at that moment. And then when it's filed back away, it represents, it's got that watermark all over it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, God, and the world as it is and misinformation and the ease of memes and getting ideas out to one another and everything. It's like, it's fucking crazy because it's like there's no ground.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's the Wild West right now out there, especially with the...
You guys ever read any Robert Anton Wilson?
No.
All right. So Robert Anton Wilson, like a sketchy dude, right? Okay. But like one of the books he wrote was called Cosmic Trigger.
What was he? Like a philosopher?
Sort of psychedelic Illuminati researcher, right? Wrote a book called The Illuminatus Trilogy. Cosmic Trigger was like one of his big ones. So it's about like he's researching all these conspiracy theories,
right.
And he's taking a lot of mushrooms also.
As one does.
Yeah, but he starts to believe, like he's researching, and he starts to believe what he's researching, right? And he calls it chapel perilous, with the point at which he comes to believe in this thing that he's looking at. And it manifests itself like little green men, you know what I mean? He's seeing the world conforming to this world that he now believes in, you know what I mean? And it's sort of driving him. But then, and then he like comes to his senses, and the experience passes and he doesn't believe it anymore. And so it's really a book about that, that curve from going to skeptic to belief to, the world is like fucking crazy all around me. And then coming out after that and seeing like, what was that experience? You know what I mean? Like who was I? Like what just happened? Was it real? What, is anything real?
Right.
And so his his whole thing is like maybe, he calls it maybe logic or model agnosticism, right? So like your model of the universe, not model agnosticism, model ambiguity, right? So like your model of the universe is, the best way to do it is to just be kind of slightly ambiguous in your own mind about what the world is and what might be and what isn't and what definitely is and what isn't. And, it's a very skeptical kind of viewpoint, But,
what's the name of the gentleman?
Robert Anton Wilson.
Yep, Robert Anton
Wilson. Yeah, because I'm down. I read a lot in my older years, apparently.
Cosmic Trigger. It's a trilogy.
probably so the Illuminatus trilogy is the trilogy. Cosmic Trigger is just another book they wrote.
Okay.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, well, that's all great shit. I'm trying to think of this. I read a book about the occult here recently. Oh no, Real History of Secret Societies is what it was, but it didn't mention that. But I think they said something about the Illuminati trilogy or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Cosmic Trigger. Cosmic Trigger. The Final Secret of the Illuminati. Is that the book? Robert Anton Wilson.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if that. I never remember that subtitle right there, but.
There's
but maybe it's been a while. It's been a while, and I don't necessarily even recommend that people read these.
Sure,
books, You know what I mean?
We're just rapping.
I read them at a certain point in my life,
right,
in my 20s, where I was like, experimenting with my own brain and trying to discover what it is that I believe, if I believed anything at all.
Did you ever read McKenna?
I mean, I've listened to all his talks and stuff for sure. That Alan Watts.
Oh, God.
I used to love Alan Watts.
I've listened to all of Alan Watts.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah, all that stuff. Alan Watts was great. I feel like I listened to so much Alan Watts that my brain really did change.
Yeah, definitely.
I really took on this. He's just a wonder. He was ahead of his time.
I mean, he was ahead of his time. Baby.
Yeah. Going and living in Japan and really thinking about the ways in which Japanese culture and American culture are similar and different. Right. You know what I mean? And the perspective and those Western perspectives and Eastern perspectives.
So did you have cassette tapes of Watts, or was it?
No, man. I did not get into it until Soulseek. Soulseek.org, I think it was.
Okay.
Which was a file sharing network.
I got you.
I never got Napster. Soulseek was my thing because you could access somebody's whole file system. So the albums are in folders, you know what I mean? And they have, and people would organize their shit, you know what I mean? So it was
it's also a cooler name than Napster.
Soulseek, yeah.
Soulseek.
And I could download a person's entire thing.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I got a lot of music from that. And it's funny because I was in the early 90s into grunge. And I liked The Cure in high school.
Right, sure.
I was a big Cure fan.
Right.
But then after high school, it was when Nirvana came out and Smashing Pumpkins. I saw Smashing Pumpkins in what is it called? St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. I missed the show for Gish, but they skipped the Detroit show on that tour. Oh. And then at the end of the tour, they played at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit because they had missed it. So it was Gish had sort of Rhinoceros was on MTV, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, this band is amazing. So I got to see them there.
Was it more of an intimate venue at the St. Andrews?
It's probably it's probably going just a mid-sized venue. Yeah, yeah.
That would have been realized if
a little bit like the 930 Club.
Oh, okay.
No.
Nice.
Well, I think 930 Club is quite big, isn't it?
930 Club is not big now.
It's got an upper part, but it's
but it's not big.
Yeah, maybe like the 930 Club. Yeah. Or there's another, I don't know.
That's awesome.
I don't even know what venues look like anymore. The last time I was inside a venue.
The biggest one kind of around now is the Anthem. That place is massive.
Oh, the Anthem. That's what I was thinking of.
The Anthem is big, yeah.
I saw Kraftwerk at the Anthem last year.
The Anthem's crazy. You haven't been there.
I haven't been there.
Dude, the booths are insane because the highest one's 4 stories and the railing is below your knees.
See, that would freak me out.
It's crazy. I can handle the first floor of those. Me and Amanda saw we've been there a couple times, but I don't understand how no one's fallen off, especially when people are getting whacked at some shows. Right. It was freaky.
Well, so Matt, it's getting late. Do you got anything else?
No, man. I want to hear. I want to see the demonstration. I want to see the crankie, and I want everyone to hear this instrument that he built.
Yeah,
we're going to do a demonstration
because we have it mic'd up.
Cool.
It was a pleasure meeting you, man. And this was
it was
really
nice to meet you guys too.
Yeah.
I having kids, man. It's you lose touch with people. Yeah. I've got a couple of people in my life, couple of dudes that, we go hang out at each other's houses. But I had a good friend, and he moved, and he was like the childless guy amongst all our friends. So we could always go to his house, and he moved to New Orleans. So I'm like,
damn,
catch can like the whole last year for like good chilling. Talking to my friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm glad you
really
came.
nice.
Well, that's why we like it. I mean,
I could talk to you guys another like 2 hours.
I know, baby. Well,
that's what I mean. Having people in here with like our friend Justin Kruger. He's the drummer for Alcohol's Pressing Strings. He's like, I just love I'm proud of what I do, and I want to tell people about what I do.
Right.
And no one asks me. Like, you don't always get to talk about what you do.
Yeah. Right.
And that's where we come in.
And that's what we're trying to do. Where do people find your work and stuff for the reference?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram account that's like, I post on it as often as I can, at Matt Muirhead Artist.
Yep.
And then my website is mattmuirhead.co.
Yep. We'll have all that. We'll have the links to
we'll have the links to them and stuff. And like I said, just, check out Matt Muirhead's work and support art in general.
And check out our calendar. That's where, I found you on Kara's post that day. Kara's a friend. We went to high school with her too, and her husband Tom.
Right, yeah. Kara she's heavy
we just went
arts.
to the 18th issue release at the aquarium. That was cool. That was real cool.
Awesome.
Wonderful stuff. All right, stay sane, Baltimore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so this is a crankie. It is a panoramic skull painted on about 80 feet of a material called Tyvek. It's similar to what you house wrap. It's a very tough, resilient material. it's mounted into this box, and I'm going to play it for you. And the music is also mine.
The smell of January. To cemetery. To cemetery.
Thanks for listening, Baltimore. You can find us at www.sanitylounge.com or on Instagram at sanity.lounge.
Keep listening and subscribe.
Stay sane, Baltimore.